Scientists are still not sure where COVID-19 originated, but the idea that it may have accidentally leaked out of a lab in Wuhan, China, is under increased scrutiny. Yesterday, my colleagues at CBS This Morning spoke with Dr. Anthony Fauci and asked him about that theory.
Even though you lean towards feeling that this is more likely a natural occurrence, we always felt that you've got to keep an open mind. All of us. We didn't get up and start announcing it, but we've always said keep an open mind and continue to look. So I think it's a bit of a...
Media coverage of the lab leak theory is also in the spotlight. To talk more about this issue, I want to bring in Paul Farhi. He is a media reporter for The Washington Post. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. So I got to say, when I read the article, the media called the lab leak story a conspiracy theory, which is the beginning of the headline. I was kind of feeling some type of ways. Because I thought, well, I mean, we didn't call it that. The experts we spoke to said, you know, this is unlikely, or any sort of iteration of this is probably not the reason why. So I was like, I'm feeling a little sensitive about this. I'll get that out of the way right at the top. There were, some outlets, including, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm very happy that you said that, because that's exactly the case. Reporters talk to experts. Reporters are not scientists themselves. They rely on the experts, and the experts told us in the media that it was very much more likely to have been a naturally occurring phenomena, not a lab leak. And we reported accurately what we were told by the experts. Since then, expert opinion has changed quite a bit. There is some receptivity to the idea that it came out of the lab. And that's what's changed, more so than the media having gotten it wrong. The media accurately reported what the consensus was at the time.
But I see, words really make a difference. And so there were words used like debunked, or phrases like conspiracy theory. So how did the reporting on the coronavirus origins in the early days of the pandemic compare to what the scientific community was saying about it then? And you point out that there were experts saying that it was less likely to be a lab leak. But was everyone saying that in the scientific community?
Right. That's still the general consensus, that the likely source was animal in nature. But yes, it was wrong. It was literally flat wrong to have said that this was debunked, because it's never been debunked. We don't really know the source of the coronavirus. And to say that the theory that it came out of the lab was debunked is just not correct. And that's the correction that has occurred, I think, in the last year or so. A greater acceptance of the possibility, because again, nothing has been proven, the possibility that it came out of the lab. And, again, there is evidence for it. Scientists are still debating this question. Part of this was political in nature, too. President Trump kept saying that it was definitely out of the lab. President Trump didn't really know, but he said it. And I think that made a lot of people shy away from declaring it so, because they didn't want to be associated with the president's bold claim that this was definitely the case. It was never definitely the case, and it still isn't.
Yeah, and I think, that the bold claim that it was leaked was also sort of linked to the idea that it was deliberately leaked. And I think that made people very nervous, or unlikely to lean into it. But you're right about the evolution of the language. Nothing has been disproven, precisely because also nothing has been proven about the roots. But you do talk in the article about how the media has handled this evolution in coverage, right? That some media outlets have corrected or made changes to their coverage, but normally what ends up happening is, the way it usually is the article stays the same, but there's a sort of a little correction at the bottom, or a correction nearby, or something. But we're seeing like headlines being changed in a way that I think that it's not the way corrections have usually been issued.
Yes, that's a great point. There's a hindsight factor here that's going on, and we've gotten things wrong, or at least the consensus on things has changed in many different areas. we don't refer to people in the way we used to refer to them, in the past. And the issue would be, should we go back to those articles from the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, whenever, and correct those? My take would be, no, this was a reflection of the time at which this article was written. It reflected the culture of the time. Let it be. And going forward, make sure that you are up to date and accurate in your new reporting. But the hindsight corrections here, I think, are a little suspect.
So this is just one aspect of the pandemic coverage, right? Its origin, but there have been other aspects that sort of been disputed in the same way, whether it's treatments, certain drugs, or the numbers even. I'm wondering, do you have a sense of how, for lack of a better word, damaging the pandemic coverage has been to the media in terms of people's faith in the media, that they're getting the facts?
Well, I think there's a lot of suspicion about the media for lots of different reasons. And COVID plays into that. The pandemic has warped a lot of our understanding of a lot of things, science and the media being two of them. But for the most part, I think the media coverage of the pandemic has been outstanding. There were many, many good articles, many accurate articles, many articles that provided the up-to-date science and were very, very helpful to people. So I think once you pick on the things that were wrong at the time, or at least misunderstood or not well understood at the time, to reflect on all of the media coverage, you're missing the larger picture. The larger picture was the news media did quite a lot of public service, keeping people informed about what their choices were and what the best known science was. Let's face it, we were in a situation where we didn't know a lot about the scientists, the experts didn't know a lot about what was going on. And so we were all creeping forward little by little. And the media coverage in large part reflected that.
Well, Paul, I'm feeling a little better about my vocation now, having talked to you. But I will say, I think that, many people within the media, and I sort of hate that phrase, but it is what it is, within the media, within the science community, public policy, I think we've all learned a lot through this experience about how you get the most accurate information out there to the public, even as the information is evolving. Paul Farhi, thank you so much.
Thank you.